It's kind of hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Monday. Oh, snap. We back again. It's the start of the week. It's that one day that myself and the cool guy to the side of me, we get on here, man. We try to get your week started right, try to get you motivated, try to get you believing and thinking about all the wonderful things that you should be thinking about in terms of what life is doing and how wonderful things are. And it's Monday, man. Can you believe it? Just that fast. The weekend, you blink. And before you know it, you're back here doing what we do best. And like I said, that's trying to motivate you, drop some jewels and some nuggets on you, and just put you in a mind frame and a mindset that's going to allow your week to get off to the start that it needs and to hopefully allow you to spread that love in your circles. And we all kind of come away from this with something beautiful. My name is Amir Sealy, aka A-Rock. And that man to the other side of me is the one and only Mr. Talent Harris, aka Talent. It needs no further introduction. Big homie,
What
how
up,
was the
player?
weekend, sir? How you doing today?
Listen, man, I can't complain. I'm just wondering why my damn joint's sounding low. Usually it sounds nice and loud. But good weekend, brother. Good,
Yes.
great weekend actually. You know what I
Nice,
mean?
nice,
When it goes good, it goes great, as far as I'm concerned. 'Cause
nice,
we
nice.
live in a time where so much could go wrong at any given moment. I just be happy to get through a smooth sailing ass weekend. So that's what happened on this end. So everything is gravy. But it was that line from the record. It's the gravy, baby. I got it all covered. You know what I mean?
Yes,
Like,
yes.
damn, G Dep, he's still locked up, ain't
Yeah, I think so. Wow,
he? Right.
wow.
I just thought about that. Like, damn, you know what? He's still locked up. No, but it was a good weekend. Everything went as planned. It was when I got a lot of moving pieces, it was a blessing to get through the whole thing. I see we both got the hoodies on. So
Yes, sir.
it's a hoodie Monday, motivational hoodie Monday type
Yes,
shit.
sir.
You know what I mean? How was yours?
The weekend was good. The weekend was good, man. I actually, last week was a little challenging. I was sick most of it, and then Friday was the day I started to feel better. Saturday I was back in my mojo, got my zone, and then the rest of the weekend just played out beautifully, man. So it was a good weekend, solid.
Oh, that's good.
Just, getting a chance to chop it up. I did something that I've been telling everybody to do, so I kind of texted, reached out to a few people who I hadn't spoke to in a while. So that felt good, and to get, the responses back. Hey man, I was thinking about you too. What's going on? That kind of stuff. So it was a beautiful thing, man. It was a great weekend. Coming on into today, we got beautiful weather here in NYC, and I was, I just it's funny. I was trying to, figure out. I said, well, what do I do? What can I talk about that would be a motivating and or dope story? So I'm sitting around, and I tell you, I spend a lot of time on the internet via my TV. So I'm on YouTube all the time, just looking up different things.
Right.
And I happened to come across this wonderful clip about this gentleman who was saying whether or not Michael Jackson was the baddest and the most feared man in music. So, normally when you hear stuff like that, it kind of throws you, and then you start wondering, like, ooh, what is he talking about? I was hoping it wasn't none of the, normal crazy stuff that, people say about him. But it ended up being a really interesting take where the gentleman was explaining Michael Jackson's prowess for what he did. He said, we always talk about how great Jay-Z is. We always talk about how great, some of the other artists are that we know in the music industry, how great they are. He said, but their greatness actually isn't steeped in music. It's steeped in other things. Nas is as much money as he has. His stuff is in tech. It's not in music. Jay-Z happens to own Tidal, which happens to be a streaming service, but he has obviously various other things that he's what you call it. But he was talking about Michael Jackson, and the reason why he brought up Michael Jackson, he said, is because when you think about it, obviously Michael Jackson's ability to sing and do what he does as far as an entertainer goes is one thing. But then what he brought into perspective for me is he said, if you've ever watched the Eddie Griffin, one of the Eddie Griffin interviews, Eddie Griffin brings up how bad Michael was. He said, you talking about a guy who, when cats would talk about him, he just went out and bought their catalog. He didn't decide I'm gonna respond back. We're not gonna play this tit for tat. I'm not gonna make a song about you. I'll just buy the catalog so that every time you play your song that says something odd about me, I'll then make some money.
Well, you know,
But
they,
as
they and they got a beef over that too.
yeah, so but the craziness about it though is in theory though when you really think about it, because they even he was showing various clips of how it came to be, including there's an interview with Paul McCartney who said he had called Yoko Ono, and this is when the Beatles catalog was up for sale, and it was supposed to be about 40 million or so, and he said to Yoko, you put up 10 million, I put up 10 million, at least that gives us 20 or whatever, and let's see. And she wasn't willing to do it, and she said, I hear Michael's in the runnings for it, so I think it'd be great if Michael has the opportunity to purchase it. And Michael, based off of what he had done with the Thriller album, he had made so much money from the Thriller album and everything, he ended up purchasing it along with, several other things. But the reason why I bring it up is because when I start thinking about motivation and we talk about being motivated, hey, what's going on, Barry? Hello, Alfredo, Be Love, I see you on the check-in. When we start talking about, being motivated, part of motivation should be understanding not only the business that you're in, but also allowing yourself to utilize other things in and around you that allow you to look at your life and think about the things that you're doing and or not doing to help you kind of get on track. And as I, watched this little clip on him, and he talked about how Michael, did all these things, and that's really what propelled Michael into the stratosphere that he was in terms of his finances. It just made me think of other uh, interviews that I had the pleasure of watching this weekend. You asked me what I did this weekend. So, I saw another interview that had A-Rod and Floyd Mayweather. Very good interview. These cats got a podcast called The Pivot. So I watched that. It was another great interview because what these interviews do for me is they allow me to see that, you're talking about people who, in some cases, we admire for various reasons. A-Rod, great New York Yankee,
Right.
Floyd Mayweather, one of the best pound for pound boxers ever in the history of the game. But outside of what those guys are known for, they're now moving into other spaces that still not only allow them to build wealth, but also allow them to come together and bring together their ideologies as well as their resources to further make sure that there's generational wealth within their families, there's generational wealth within other families, and something about that always motivates me because we talk extensively about, like you said, motivation every Monday, and we tend to overlook the obvious, which is something that A-Rod says and something that a lot of these athletes say now. Your net worth is also what your network is, which means if you start thinking about the people that you have in and around you and what their capabilities are and what they're able to do and how they're able to do the things that they do, and you plug in properly, you can now put yourself in a position to build your net worth and to also help them continue to build their network. So now this is all, one kind of big happy situation. So I just kind of bring that to the table because I really, think about it a lot. And I'm always smiling to myself because, in the year's time, and we're a little over a year now having, done just the Motivational Monday show. Talent, with his big heart, his foresight, his ability to, see things in the bigger picture, is building such a great network of people. And I just, first and foremost, always want to thank him because of, how he goes about, then finding those diamonds in the rough within that network and giving them opportunities to not only shine, but to try to figure out what they're supposed to be doing and how they're supposed to be, connecting within the system. So I just thought that was, for me, a very motivating thing. And
I
then, like I
like I
said,
like stuff like that. I like if I could pick one thing that this whole emergence of the podcast, so to speak, that's the best thing about it. Before all these podcasts, we would have to wait forever for those gem of interviews to come along, and you learn a little something that you didn't know or that you wasn't looking for behind the scenes, whatever the case may be. But now, because it's a thing now, you know what I mean? Podcast is a thing, like streaming is a thing. You know, again, Amir, we grew up. You had 5 channels to choose from. Now multiply that by 1,000. You know what I mean? Like you got
yeah,
5,000 channels out there and 500 streaming things you can watch things on, and I think that's cool because it's a world. You know, when it
yeah,
comes to entertainment, whether you're listening to it, watching it, reading it, it's a world. So what better way to reach the world is to have a million avenues. You know, you can't. I guess we've learned over time that we can't just have one thing and everybody see it, or everybody
yeah,
hear it, or everybody read it. We need all access, and all access means by any means necessary. If I live in India and you live in goddamn Guam, we can watch the same program, and then when we
yeah,
meet up, we could talk in 2 different languages and give our take or what we took from said event, whatever. So that I like that about the podcast. The podcast kind of briefs us and up to dates us sooner than we would have 10, 20 years ago. You know
yes,
what I mean? Like,
yes,
think about it. Like, we grew up in a time where we will have to live through somebody's whole career until it's over, and then they sit down with Barbara Wawa, and we go, "Oh
and
shit,
then
I didn't know he had eczema." You know, now you're gonna have to wait
that's
to
true.
find out about. Look at us. Look at everybody with alopecia. Oh, he
Yeah,
got
yeah,
alopecia. That's why. You know, but the podcast changed the game in that. So I do like that. I like those information sources where you learn the little extra things, because you're right. When we look at Nas and what he's involved in, Jay-Z and what he's involved in, all these people, it makes me proud because it's a sign of growth and maturity, right?
yeah,
So, we never got to see people plan for that. We dealt with them in their little circle, in their little, not to say little, but in their small time frame of whether that career was 10 years, 20 years, whatever it is. And that's all we know. But now, not only can you learn shit, but on top of that, people can reinvent themselves. People can
yes,
have 2 and 3 career spans and life spans of a career because of all of this information now, and how we
yeah,
do it.
yeah. Again, it's funny you say that because from watching that first clip, like I said about Michael Jackson and his proudness as a businessman, it led me to. And if any of y'all haven't watched this in a long time, or if you never watched it, Michael Jackson's Wimbledon Stadium concert is on YouTube. The entire concert is on YouTube. It is an incredible, incredible show. But for you ladies who are watching, because I know how much you know wigs and all that stuff is so prominent now. The only thing that y'all gonna be mad about is that terrible ass wig they gave Mike for that tour. Yeah. When I tell you, T, I was watching, and I was like, yo, this wig is horrible. And I was like, I don't even look at stuff like that, but I was like, I'm mad at Mike. Mike, God damn it, bro. All his money, they couldn't get you a better wig, bro. So it was just funny, watching it. But I was telling, Prophet before we actually came on the air, what really impressed me about it was, in theory, just the magnitude of the time. This tour was back in '88, and for those who may or may not be familiar with it, was his Bad tour, which at the time was the highest grossing tour of all time, grossed something like $125 million. But what was really impressive about it is he sold out Wimbledon Stadium 7 shows. There were 90,000 seats in Wimbledon Stadium. He sold out 7 straight shows in Wimbledon Stadium. Because I had to Google, I said, well, how many seats is it? Because I'm curious now. When I saw it was 90,000, I was like, and cats we talk about, y'all sold out the garden, sit your ass down. Nobody cared about this.
I mean, you can't compare to him. But what Mike has that I would say, like in my lifetime, we met a lot of artists and entertainers and stuff. I would say the tenacity and the ability to have that go-getterness about him. I think maybe a third of the people I come across embody that, right? And when you see it, it's crazy. You know, and me, I'm a go-getter, so I love it. I love when I see it in my comrades. Case in point, this past weekend, if everybody, whoever's been laying under a rock and have missed, maybe you didn't attend it in person, but if you haven't seen it on social media, the whole Barclays comedy show where T.I. Went up. Now, I bring that up for two reasons. One, our guest today, Ray DeJean, was one of the promoters of it. He worked with Rip Michaels on the production. And he also performed on the thing. And more importantly, being there, he's an eyewitness beginning to end. So we're going to have him on the show in a few minutes. But more importantly, the main reason I bring it up is because that's what I see in a guy like Frank Holder from the Humor Mill. For those of you who don't know, every day, every weekday, Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. on the Humor Mill, we have a show called The Box Seats. On The Box Seats, it's produced and it's part of, his conglomerate underneath his umbrella of Humor Mill. So Frank Holder and his wife and a couple of, people that work for him, they made the journey. They live in Boston area. They made the journey down to that show to be there to make sure they obviously watch the show, but really the main thing was to grab an exclusive interview. Now, this is before he knew how the outcome was going to be at the show. This was just an interview they were going to have to interview T.I. And I'm sure he got some other interviews while he was there, but the main thing was to go there to interview T.I. And of course, now we know later, as Monday morning quarterbacks, that it didn't go well. They gave him a good Brooklyn welcome, as we like to say. So after the fact, he gets this interview. I just finished watching it before that. Matter of fact, that's why I was about 5 minutes late. I was finishing up watching the Humor Mill quick interview with him and T.I. I wanted to get that in before, so I know it, have it up here when we go. Great interview. Nice, to the point, short, whatever the case may be. Now, I love the tenacity of the work ethic of like a Frank Holder. So he's one of that 1/3 constituency that I'm talking about. What concerns me is T.I.'s reaction to the whole thing. I hope the nigga ain't delusional. I don't know if you've seen it.
I didn't have an opportunity to see the
When we get
longer
off,
one.
check it out. And you'll see why I'm asking this question, because
Okay.
I've been in this 30 years. And when we bomb, when we have that thing happen to us, I've seen it a million times. I've been around it a gazillion times. It's supposed to have a certain impact on you to do a certain thing. Now, I don't know if it's because he was in shock or it's in the moment, so I'm going to say this or react this way or whatever the case may be, but it was to the effect of, oh, yeah, I loved it. Yeah. I'm like, you loved it? Yeah, they was cheering me on. They wanted me to blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, let me say this, bro. You got to take that for what it's worth, because if you don't, the whole point of taking it and letting it hit you a certain way and taking it for food for thought and what it's worth is that's how you progress. It's not, this ain't a boxing ring where, you got those crazy deranged motherfuckers in there. You punch them, they go, yeah. This ain't that. This is psychological warfare. This is that thing that can sit with you, that thing that can give you a skewed view. Now, and I'm sure it's going to happen sooner than later, that I'm going to be in a room with T.I. and like people always do, they're going to want to pick your brain and, what do you think and what's your take and what should I do? Now, the first time I've seen this brother, a clip of a performance of him, first of all, we kept saying 6 months. We thought it was 6 months. He said himself it was 12 weeks, which is half the time, 3 months. Is in comedy, you have to, if nothing else, you have to be relatable. We call it relatability. Your level of relatability is the level of laughter you receive back. So when I get up there and whatever spew I'm talking, whatever shit I'm talking, the more it's relatable to that audience, the louder they're going to laugh and go. The less it's relatable, the lower the laugh, and the less they're going to laugh and go with me. You know what I mean? So his material and content so far, anyway, it's new. But right now, what I would do is break it down and say, he's totally not relating to the people. I mean, you got 30 seconds of relatability, and that's when you come out, because we all know who you are. You're not a stranger to us as a person, so we know who you are. So right then and there, we relate to you because we know who you are. And then what'll happen is you go into this thing, what you're talking about, the subject matter kind of slowly separates you from the people. And I think the people in Brooklyn and Barclays felt like that. If you watch the set and listen to what he's saying and where it comes from, they got ticked kind of in that area. He had a word he was trying to use. And his joke was, I don't know if he's saying, he said anonymity, right? He's like, yo, when I say a word y'all don't understand, just raise your hand and I'll just give you a definition. So he said anonymity, and I guess some lady raised her hand. He was like, I'm glad you asked, blah, 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 because all these other motherfuckers want to know and they don't know. So basically, you just downed the people. You just put them down real fast. You just called them stupid or ignorant, right? And like you could answer that lady without, all the motherfuckers want to know what they don't know what it is. But right there, you just did a me versus you thing. And then when he started breaking it down and, enjoy your life before you get famous like me, and then all hell broke loose. All hell broke loose. That's what I mean by you. The thing you can't do is you can't disconnect with the audience. And that could be several ways. I see people disconnect all the time. Sometimes you just say something immoral. Sometimes you say something false. Sometimes you're nervous and you twist your words and fuck the joke up. This should have went first and that's it, whatever. And then sometimes you downright make them feel like you're better than them or they're less than you. And that's the quick fucking expressway on the highway to get to that bull. The quickest way you get to that bull is to come off like I'm better than you. No, on this, when you grab this mic in front of this audience, nigga, tap into your human being. Don't tap into your bank account. Don't tap into your platinum albums. Don't tap into how much pussy you get. You got to tap into as regular and human as you are. Yeah, right. Down on the ground. I always say boots on the ground. When people say, yo, how the fuck you are still relevant and around 30 years later, and how you this and that, and how people saying good things about you and you cool and da. I keep my boots on the ground because I know where my bread and butter is, and I know grand opening, grand closing. I know the quickest thing to open the door, and I know the quickest thing to close the door. I've been doing it long enough to know that. Like, so it ain't no different than why comedians go to certain cities and they want to shout out certain things in the city to kind of familiar themselves to that audience. Remember that funny ass, one of my favorite commercials is my man Sherrod Small. He's a comedian, right? You know what I'm talking about? When they doing that, like they're a live big ass band performing. And I think it's Snickers want to get away for a while. Right? So he goes and he's in the wrong tenor. He's like, "What's up, Cleveland?" And it's like crickets. And his boy go, "Cleveland was last night." And he's like,
yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? So something like that is a perfect example. I crack up I have never seen a commercial and not laugh because I know the feeling as entertainment. I see people do it all the time. Like, so he gets up there, sold out crowd, they rocking, they love him. What's up, Cleveland? And it's just crickets. And he's like, fuck on. And his boy go, Cleveland was last night. He's like, oh. He go, want to go away for a while. You know what I mean? So that's the type of thing. Like, you can say something real quick, disconnect, or become non-relatable. So to me, watching it from a clip standpoint, that's what it was. Ray DeJean, like I said, once our guest gets in, he was there. He helped promote it with Rip. So he got a first-hand thing because a lot of people are complaining about this. And this is why I said, let me take this little piece of what happened over there, what the complaint is, and apply it to life. Ray does this all the time like me. He's been doing it for a number of years. Even before he grabbed the mic and started telling jokes, he was producing it and hosting it. And the one thing that we know that we learned that is important. Did we know it up front? No, but we learned it very quick because we had to. What we learned is it's very important in comedy. Remember, I tell you guys this, that you put the show, the lineup. I don't care if you got 3, 6, 7, 10 comedians. It's very important that you put it in the best order for it to be successful. Meaning, you should know who you're dealing with. I know sometimes you don't. Sometimes people hire somebody. They've never seen what they're capable of. They're just going off the notoriety. But those of us who do it all the time, we pretty much know what each component is bringing. So part of that skill set is knowing who to put in what order. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I know this guy, he can't be behind that guy. He needs to be first. He needs to follow him. He can't follow, you know what I mean? And do it down the line. Now, is this a perfect formula? No, but it's a high percentage formula. So you go with the numbers. You go with the projectile shit. Like, perfect example, next to last in comedy was Tony Roberts. And from my understanding, not even from Ray, just from some other people, the only one who really ripped it as a comic was Tony Roberts. Everybody else either did okay or got booed or barely made it. You know what I mean? Like, if you paid for a comedy concert, the only one that knocked the shit out the park and gave you that shit in a big ass arena was Tony Roberts. Now, after Tony Roberts goes D. Ray. Now, a lot of people like D. Ray. D. Ray's a good friend. I like D. Ray. But in that essence, that night, because of not for no other reason than the booing and the people not making it and all these type of things, there's a long, crazy show. Did they say he gave the performance like Tony? No. They said it was okay, though. You know what I mean? Even, like the Joe Torres and everybody, at best, underneath Tony, everything was like, okay. So I say this to say, we as people, and whatever our daily going ons and aspirations and goals are, maybe we need to do that with our life.
Yeah.
Maybe we need to look at life like putting together a big comedy show or big, whatever you like, music, big hip hop, whatever. Even if you like hip hop or R&B or country music, treat life like your personal concert.
Yes.
How would you line this concert up? I'm going to do this first. Because it goes with what you were saying. Like, this guy for doing this, and then all of a sudden he dabbles in this and becomes richer. And then he does this and becomes more iconic and all these little different clicks. Because look at, say, like a Teddy Riley, if we're going to talk music. His career is stellar all along the way and not through no one thing. And then it tentacles and branches out to other careers. Teddy Riley come on the scene, he's just a producer of all these great artists that are going platinum. Hey, okay, why are we going platinum? Here go my group. Guy, boom, we go platinum.
Yeah.
That has a nice little run. We videos, a couple albums, and spawn from that. I'll leave that alone. Aaron Hall do his thing.
Yeah.
Solo project.
And it's you are absolutely right. I think that we do have to learn to prioritize and/or put things in order as far as our lives are concerned, because to your point, once you do, each thing should feed off the next. There is a synergy and an energy to that allows you to, keep that going. It's interesting, like you said, that TI's, perspective, to this point is what it is. I think partial in part, at least it seems to me outside looking in, some of it has to do with naivete, which is, new to the game and still not understanding all of the parameters of it and what you call it. It's funny when as I said, I look at a lot of things, definitively on YouTube and the various things. But a lot of people say that you have to become a student of your craft, and I think somebody also wrote it in the chat. We have to really understand that that's a major part of helping you understand your business, because at the end of the day, the talent's point, and I know this because I've been with this man several shows, bigger venues and smaller venues. You also got to get out there and see the crowd, feel the energy of the crowd, see what that's about. like you said, as you move from city to city, every city has a whole different energy, like literally has a whole different energy. And because of that, you hopefully want to tap into that because that's really what's going to carry you. It's going to be the fact that, as Talon just pointed out, and this goes for anything in life, you identify within somebody or something that they can relate to. So now you can keep the conversation going.
Right.
I saw this cool, wild clip today, and it was a guy said, sell me this pen. And the guy said, he said, normally, if somebody said that to you, the first thing you start going, well, this is a really great pen and it writes. And this, and he said, and that's not the whole purpose of, somebody who's a salesman would go with any of that stuff. He said, somebody who's a salesman would go, well, did you need a pen? Is there something in particular that you're looking to do? Are you a writer? All these other questions that are around the ideology of a pen, so that this way you understand what it is the person is looking for or the group is looking for, and then you can sell them on that. And I think to your point, when you look at comedy or you look at life, that's what we're doing. We're trying to find solutions for things that are either prominent in our life or not prominent in our life, and we're trying to bring them or attract them to ourselves. And this goes back to, partially in part what I started the, conversation talking about networks and net worth, and then the smaller components, which is making those connections to the things in and around you that allow you to find and plug those holes. For a guy like Ti, because my understanding is he's had the ability to do smaller venues. When you do smaller venues, a little more intimate, so it doesn't require as much to fill the room with your energy and with the talent super point. Tony Roberts, I've been watching that guy for years, and he is just sheer energy. I don't give a damn when you see him, whether he's in a stadium or he's talking on, in this kind of platform. I've seen him be just as live in this kind of platform because he's been on box seats a few times. So you're absolutely right. We have to really, hone in on our lineup.
Right.
Talon and I are big sports guys. So, we always try to use analogies and sports analogies. I know sometimes you're like, dang, it's so much sports stuff. But that's what lineups are. That's why basketball teams succeed, indoor football teams or baseball teams, because you got to get that right lineup. You got to get the right group of people in there who are slowly but surely bringing bringing up the energy. So by the time you get to, where you need to be or where you want to be, now it's easy sailing because it's already in motion. And I think that, to bring it back to what Motivational Mondays is about, that's what we mean. Like your Monday has to start off with maybe a prayer for you. If you wake up, maybe the first thing you do is pray. Maybe the first thing you do is, if you're not a person who's into prayer, maybe you get up and you meditate. If you don't get up and meditate, maybe you get up and you just say you're thankful for, however many things you could think of that you're thankful for. And literally, you just say it to yourself. You keep your eyes closed for a little bit. I'm thankful I could open my eyes this morning. I'm thankful that, I have the beautiful people that I have in my life. I'm thankful for my friends. I'm thankful for my family, whatever. And you go on from there. So many of us find ourselves, trying to uh, jumpstart ourselves when it comes to Monday. But that's because we usually are still in the mind frame and the mindset, first off, of the weekend. And then secondly, we're not, in my guesstimation, and again, it varies from person to person and from situation to situation, we're not doing the thing that we need to be doing, which is the thankfulness. Gratitude is such a powerful, powerful tool in terms of being able to build all of the other things that you'd like to see manifest in your life. I know, people think that it's some super miracle and this and that and the third. No, it's just plain simple gratitude. And that comes from, again, just looking at your life and being like, oh my God, because we all have had a start. Some of us, situation seemingly was tougher than others or whatever the case may be, but you're here now.
Right.
And the body of work and the amount of work that you've done to get from where you were to where you are now, if you really took a moment and was appreciative of it, you'd be so proud of yourself and you'd be so happy. And that would, again, that momentum that we're talking about, that allowing you to keep pushing forward because you're like, okay, well, I was way back there, but I've gotten to here. So I
Right.
must be doing something right. And all of that is a major, major part to motivation. It's a major part to getting that engine going and finding that rhythm. And then, you know,
Get your
once
lineup
you
right.
get,
You're right.
yeah, and once you get the engine going, it speaks to for everybody. They call it the zone, but that's when you get in that sweet spot where it just seems like anything and everything that you try to come up with seems to click. It's moving, it's going. You're like, oh, wait a minute, okay, I'm in the zone, yeah, because you put forth that the work, you put the energy, you put the discipline in. It's just so many things that we, have to constantly remind ourselves that these are small things. I'm just quick reminder. It's Ramadan. It's still Ramadan. So, I've practiced Ramadan. This is my fourth year doing Ramadan. And the bodega that's on one of the corners of my block is the gentleman in there Muslim. So every night I go in there after the sun goes down and give myself something to eat or whatever. And they be in there having me cracking up because they saying stuff like, yo, I forgot to eat. I was struggling with not eating. I said, wait a minute, y'all are practicing Muslims, brothers. How are y'all screwing up and not able to, carry this? But I realized that, so many of us, regardless of whatever, religious faith you walk in, there are a number of us who don't understand the disciplines. The discipline is the biggest part of all things that you want to see yourself accomplish. It's the
Right.
discipline, and that discipline requires that you get it here first, because this is the strongest and the toughest muscle in your entire body is your mind, and then it permeates into everything else in your life. And once you start really getting those disciplines, which is why I do, Ramadan every year, is because I'm, trying to show myself that I do have the discipline. It's 30 days, but to not eat from sun up to sundown. And I know a lot of you are gonna go, what? No, no, but it's not as crazy as you think it is. And I think once you start to really understand that certain things that you've been programmed to believe aren't necessarily what they are, it then just gives you other perspectives, and that's where the praying and the meditation come into play, because now you're starting to look at a lot of things in your life differently, which is also a way to be motivated by now starting to make those changes so that you can get better results. So
But
it
yeah,
all
the
ties
mind.
in.
So the mind part is where you. I know we say it lightly and quickly, but that's the part that hinders a lot of people. If
Yeah,
a lot of people do not believe or know for a fact that the mind is stronger than the body, that's why the phrase comes from mind over matter. Like, your mind is so strong. Let me give you an example of how your mind is strong. As you get older, you physically can't do a lot of the same shit you do as a youngster, right? But let your mind tell it. Your mind believe you can. That's why old motherfuckers be getting injured all the time and playing ball when they shouldn't be playing ball no more. And because the
right.
mind say, nah, we got this shit. We still cool. The body like, cuz, I don't know, cuz. Like, I woke up hurt. You know what I mean? So understand the mind is stronger than the body. And to that whole point of us going back and forth, that banter was about the lineup, putting the lineup together is very important. Putting the lineup together about your life. When I look back at my early jobs as a adolescent and stuff like that, I'm like, that's my opening act.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean? And then when I started to make some traction and do comedy and all that, that's the middle of that's the feature.
yes,
The headliner has yet to become. And you know what I mean? So the lineup in your life is very important. Time to bring our guest in. Before I bring our guest in, quick side note I always say it's amazing how when you get your hand on some money, you just start fucking all of a sudden. Think about when you fucking the most. When you got some money, you feel a little comfortable financially, you start fucking. Britney Spears is pregnant. Now all
wow,
these years, Britney Spears ain't have control of her money.
wow, okay,
This bitch ain't come
yeah,
close to pregnant. But soon as the judge signed it over, she just got that money a few months ago. She announced she was pregnant. Her and Sam are gonna have a baby. Blah blah blah. I got a pregnancy test. I'm having a baby. Good for you. God bless that kid. I'm just happy to see her get her life back and all that good stuff. Which brings me to getting life back. Our guest, super producer, comedian extraordinaire, hip hop icon, veteran for video music box. Too many credits to mention. The creator and CEO of Laughaholics comedy series and festivals and all that good stuff. And one of the promoters, producers, and performers of the concert that just happened at the Barclays. Ray DeJean is in the building for Motivation
yes,
Mondays.
yes,
Let's bring
yes,
my man Ray in this joint. And
yes.
Ray, what up?
Good.
Salute, King.
You just wanted to get that good background behind you.
Yeah, word. I'm in my wife's office. Yo, hold on. First of all, hey Amir, happy Ramadan.
Thank you.
I was
Thank you.
wondering why you was losing weight on screen as we talk. This nigga
First
here,
of all,
like,
I don't think you can say happy Ramadan. He's like hungry as a
yo, I can tell Amir's hungry. Like, yo, this dude can't. It's still sun out. Don't you wish it was cloudy right now?
You said happy Ramadan.
Yeah.
I was like, how's the
man.
funeral, my nigga? How's the funeral? Nigga, I'm
Monday,
dying.
I think that somebody can be motivated by a good boo. Yeah. Good boo will motivate your ass. Tell me. Let me tell you something. I've never been in a situation, Amir and Talent, where I've heard 15,005 people booing in harmony like a choir.
Wow.
Dude, everybody was in sync. It was, let me tell you something. I think that was good, not for T.I., but I think it was good for the audience because that was probably one of the most entertaining parts of the whole evening.
Right.
The boo segment. Yo, dudes was getting up in aisles. I'm getting reports. I'm getting texts from people in the middle of the audience on floor seats. They was like 7 dudes stood up and started singing, "You can get whatever you like. Get the fuck out." I'm like, what? Yeah.
Wow.
It's great.
Yo, let me tell you something. So before you came in to catch you up, I went through the whole thing of letting people, putting them in the brain of us producing shows from behind the scenes and how the order is very important. That's why we flipped it to a lineup. Once you know what you're doing, we really put thought into our lineup. We know who could go behind and before whoever, and we're telling people with your life. Maybe you need to, on some motivational life shit, get your lineup in order. I know women and men who won't deal with other women and men because they feel like they're not in the place. They don't want to play themselves. I don't play once I get this degree or once I get this job or finish this, then I'm ready to see this person because they got all they shit. So let me get all my shit. So when we come together, we lean and equal. You know what I mean? So this thing here, I spoke to you. I spoke to about 4 other people who was in the building behind the scenes and out in seats. And the one thing that was consistent between all you guys was, everybody was familiar with comedy. Everybody brought up the order of the lineup. Do you think that played a role?
I think that was a tremendous role. I think whether he would have been first, second, third, fourth, or last, he would have still. Okay, he still would have bombed. However, I don't know if because Rip was responsible for the lineup. I think there was a lot of politics involved because the lineup was totally disorganized. Like, I would have never. Now I've heard of talent like saying, "Ray, I'm gonna put somebody powerful up front. Don't worry about that, but it's gonna set the tone so everybody can ride off of that." But it's also comedians that can ride off of that. That's talented enough to take it. Like in a relay race, the first person is fastest, then everybody in the middle is slower, and then the last guy is fast. So yeah, you can start it off with a bang and then level out and then end it with a bang. It was like this. And it was 10 comedians on the lineup, and 4 of them were mediocre. On a platform like that, you're not supposed to be mediocre. One guy, I think this was a political favor. The dude Jacob from Wild 'N Out, the white boy, got booed. His content and and he was put later in the lineup, after people like, I don't know, did Michael Blackson go yet? No, Michael Blackson didn't go before him, but he was put in the lineup, Little Kim and like all this other stuff that's going on. He didn't get a fair opportunity, so he bombed. Then the crowd now is feeling away. Then you get Ronnie Jordan, who typically is pretty good, but Ronnie Jordan survived. When he came out, like gyrating his fat ass body, which always works, didn't really work because of the lineup, the audience, the flow there. People was way off. Even when Tony Roberts started, let me just tell you this. Even when Tony Roberts started, and he said this to me when he got off the stage, he's like, "Yo, Ray, the beginning, man, I didn't know what was going on." Because he was following those 4 comedians that were mediocre and So Tone had to grab the baton and take it from there. So the first 5 minutes, he was trying to find his footing, and then all of a sudden, he caught a wave, and boom, he got a standing up.
Nice.
Then you got D-Ray Davis following behind him. Now D-Ray did okay, but he didn't finish the race. He didn't keep up with the pace.
Right.
He did okay to the point where you're gonna say, D-Ray was cool, and that's D-Ray. He's an actor. He's in movies, so we're gonna give him a pass, kind of thing.
So now let me ask you this, because on the chatter for the next 2 days, on the chatter, the comedian chatter, all the IGs, all the Facebooks, all the Twitters, all the TikToks and Snaps, everything, the clubhouses, the general consensus in the comedy world, the comedians felt it was like, oh, I don't blame T.I., I blame the promoters. I blame the enablers and the promoters, meaning they blame whoever promoted hired them for such a big gig. And they said, we also blame K-Dub, who kind of, enabled them and put them on stage. Ronnie Jordan, who kind of out there in Atlanta helping them move along. And they even put Chris Spencer name jumped up in there. And it was like, because these guys are not being true, which I kind of half-ass agree with some of that. They're not being true to telling him or being stern about what this thing is so he can understand the game and work with it. Is like T.I. will say whatever, how he feel. And because he's T.I., they fall back and be like, all right, whatever, and let it happen and let it live. I think that, some accuracy to there when they break the blame up and stuff like that. But the ultimate thing is this, like, go back to what I just said about putting a lineup of your career or life together in order. For T.I., if you only been doing open micers in small rooms at home, predominantly at
12
home.
12 weeks.
Yeah, 12 weeks at home. And this is 15,000 people in an arena where NBA players play all the time. It's not like he's a guy that's in a situation that could use the check or hurting for whatever the scraps is. You politely decline that right now at this moment in time.
No, you aggressively decline that. This dude was delusional, and the fucked up part is he's delusional. The fucked up part is that his support team or his team or whoever they are, they support that and encourage that because they don't say shit. I'm on the side of the stage when he came off. And 3 of his people was there, like, yo, you did your thing. I'm looking at him now, like, what, nigga? How you do his thing? How did he do his thing? So even when it came down to Rip, like, okay, Rip, you booked him. I think that he should have had a conversation with T.I. and say, look, man, do a joke, but I'm gonna need you to do your songs too. You can mix it up. You T.I., I'll let you do that. I'll let you do that. He'll tell me, yo, Ray, no music jokes. Okay, fine. I ain't gonna do no jokes. But you do music jokes the whole show, though. You use music. You snap on niggas the whole show.
That's why he told you that. Yeah, that's why he told you that.
That's some back to C.K. Kirkland. So, right. So, T.I. could have bailed out with his music. That's like when I first started hosting, right? Tyler gave me pointers on the show, yo, Ray, whatever else fails, do name that tune or use some music, and you'll get out of it. The video is about your thing. Get through it. Once you start becoming a comedian, you got to start releasing some of that shit, and it's got to be more content. It can't be music. You can't rely on that shit. So T.I. could have bailed out with music, but his team, including his wife and everybody else that's around him, don't say nothing back to T.I. Nothing. And he thinks because he's T.I. that he can come and do whatever he wants. You can do whatever you like. Nah, bro. You can't do whatever you like, not in comedy. And then also, all right, the pre-show. The pre-show was the last 2 weeks, he's going viral. He's heckling a comedian.
Yeah, that didn't help.
I'm a comedian 12 weeks in, and you're heckling. That's one rule. How does a comedian heckle a comedian? He gets into a separate mic because it's T.I. He got another mic from the sound dude, not even a comedian's mic. His own mic from the audience. Before that, Godfrey headlines the Atlantic Comedy Theater. T.I. tells the owner, I want to go on after him. Let me close the show.
Yeah.
Because I'm T.I. Godfrey took it personal, like, yo, dude, you can't do that. You can do a guest spot. But you can't close the show. That's disrespectful. I'm the headliner. He got into it on Godfrey's show.
Yeah.
So he's delusional. He's egotistical. He's very arrogant. And he came out. He led with arrogance. And Brooklyn ain't going for that shit.
Yeah.
They
You
looked
can't
at
do
him like,
that.
all right, okay, T.I., let's go. We applauded you. We like you. So what's good? A minute and 32 seconds in, the choir released the booze.
Yo, you know what's crazy? It's crazy that you used the same word I just used 15 minutes ago.
Yeah.
Because I watched, you got to go on Human Mill and watch the interview after with Frank. Frank's interview was nice. And listening to his response of the boo, I'm sitting here like, you didn't get nothing from that, bro. Like you delusional. And like you said, if his people's on the side like you press that shit, then it makes sense in the interview why he felt the way he felt, because he thought because he played that little clip of music and they said, yeah, he thought he ripped it.
No,
Wow.
they was happy he was finished with comedy.
Me and you know that. Me and you know
was
that.
happy.
But this is what I'm saying.
After he did that,
Because
after he did that, then he tried to go, Amir, he tried to go back into comedy. And then they started booing again.
Yeah.
Like, yo, bro, we just, bro, stick to the music. What are you doing?
Did either of you see him and I think he and
Blackson?
Michael Blackston, I feel like they went live right after it or whatever.
Yeah, but Michael was a bitch ass nigga. The nigga wouldn't go hard on him. He was like, he was letting him go.
But this is the problem. This to me sums up the problem right now. And here's the thing. That's why I said enablers, because if we recognize delusion in a person and we don't call said delusion out, then we become enablers. Like, this is about the 10th time that I've seen somebody call themselves talking to him or checking him. But when he gets on, here come the backpedaling. Here come the mum's the word. Here come the not saying what you said you was going to say or what the interview's supposed to be. So he leaves with that same feeling of, I'm right. I got this figured out. My thing is this. When he heckled the young lady, I was like taken aback and trying to take it in. But the thing that cut me in the heart like a sharp knife was when he disrespected comedy. When he said, she was like, yo, I come in every week. This is hard. You think this is even? He's like, it's not that hard. It's not that hard. When he did that, I'm like, how do you say that about something you're trying to learn and get into? It is hard, bro. And that's what Brooklyn did. Brooklyn was that big hand that smacked across the face to try to wake the delusion up. But here you go. Yeah. As it might have worked, right? As it might have worked, when he got off the stage, you got 4 people like, you killed that shit. So you right back to delusion. The enablers are waiting for you on the side of the stage. Any right person that's pursuing this for real, you understood what just happened. Like something simple, like when you play the music and they clap. Amir, when somebody wants your ass to get the fuck off the stage, they like, just get the fuck up, boo, get the fuck. And when they say, I'm about to go, or the music come on, or the DJ play the music, they start cheering. Not because you had a great time up there, you're finally gone.
Yeah.
This horror is over.
Right.
Let's move on. That's right.
Wow.
That's exactly right.
That's crazy, bro. But see, again, when you're delusional, you don't get or take away from what he should. So when I seen that interview, I was just shaking my head like, well, we got to sit through some more of this shit. As long as
he's smart, if he's smart and he gets a mentor on comedy, comes off that ego shit. I mean, he's got a tremendous platform. Like Carl Payne, for instance. Carl Payne was never a stand-up comedian. He did a play with me once, and I was like, yo, bro, I think you should do stand-up. And he started practicing in LA, but he hit the stages. He kept hitting a bunch of stages, until he felt he was ready to come out. But when he came out to the small rooms with us in New York. Me and Talent was the first people booking Carl Payne.
Yep.
Now I just got the phone with him. I'm negotiating price with him now because he's more confident in his stand-up. Is he talented? No. Can he do his job? And then with the celebrity, yes. As a promoter and a producer, I'd say, yeah. Bring him in. He ain't going to get booed. He's going to do just fine.
Yeah.
You know, and take those pictures and we good. We could book him. But at least he's in that position. So T.I. is a performer already. He's a great actor. He's a performer. So if he gets his content right, if he allows people to help him, he could be all right.
Yeah.
But he got to open up for that. You got to open up for that help and recommendations. Anyway, we already know we're coming up on a week or so, if even that. I think next week we in Taurus season, so you know the birthday's coming up. Me and Ray DeJean, we on that Taurus shenanigans shit.
Yeah.
First stop in Brooklyn, baby. Lapaholics, Polygon. You ready?
Go Polygon Mother's Day weekend. Michael Collier, straight from Venice Beach, California. Yep, he still got the hat. He's coming in. Nice. So we have our celebrity comedian. Of course, talent is going to be there, plus more. You never know guests and surprise people that we're going to have. It might even be an old school hip hop or R&B artist that's going to stop through like we usually do. Polygon. If you've ever been there, talent has headline there. It's a nice venue. We can get 170 people in there, but you got to get the tickets now. VIP is $40. We are. Leslie already reached out to me. She says, "Ray, how many bags can I put some stuff in?" We're going to do 40 to 50 VIPs. The seating is going to be premium. It's going to be all around the stage. We're going to give you these gift bags that'll be more than $40. So you're going to see a show, get a gift bag with some nice stuff in it from sponsors. I got a couple of vendors that are coming, and they'll put some stuff in it. And you know, you have a nice night out, some food, some comedy, and an after party.
And yeah, it's a Friday night, so you ain't got nowhere to go. It's a
nice.
Friday night.
Hey, Ray, I got just a quick question for you, brother. How you healing up, man? I know we haven't really, spoken on it. I know you're moving and shaking, so I know that you're doing much better. But are you okay, brother? Because that's important too.
It froze up.
Can you hear me?
I didn't hear that.
Oh, I said, I know that you have been, doing your thing. You've been out and about. Yep. I seen you up in salsa and see you moving and shaking. I said, how are you, physically feeling? Are you, you healing up okay? You all right?
You breaking up.
Oh, yeah, that's Ray. I think Ray's.
Oh, can you hear me now, Ray?
Good looking, Ray.
Now I can hear you, Amir.
Okay. I said, I know you've been, moving and shaking, so I know you're doing better. I said, how are you, healing up? Are you doing all right?
I'm doing amazingly well.
Good.
So from December 15th, until like now, I could actually sit up and sit down, and I'm nice, man. But I went from a cast to a brace. I did my first show on braces, and I got the braces off 3 weeks ago, three days a week, and I was able to go on that stage, man, yesterday and walk around. Nice. So God definitely been good to me.
No,
how many weeks you couldn't move though? Them joints had to be straight. Like how many weeks?
8 weeks.
8
9
weeks jerking off. 8 weeks jerking off. Straight jerking off.
No, but talent. I did a joke on stage where I figured it out. The doctor was like, "Nah, you can't really have sex. How you gonna lay on anybody with stilts?
You gonna lay on it?"
So I'm gonna figure this shit out. So they gave me a walker. Amir, they gave me a walker. So you take the walker and you just brace yourself on the walker, but you gotta move straight. You gotta do like this. There's no knee action. You gotta do a drop up, on the side of the bed. It's gotta be equal with,
So what you're saying is
black man will figure it out, son.
What you're saying is instead of doggy style, you had camel style.
There you go. Yo. Hey, Amir, I had sex like a North Korean soldier with the straight legs.
Hey, Ray, thanks, man. Thanks for coming on.
Yo, Ray, we love you, brother, man. It's good to see you.
I see you, man.
Let's go, talent, and sell it out.
May 6th birthday party. Polygon, Brooklyn. Let's get it, baby.
Polygon, let's go.
Let's go.
I appreciate you, man. That's what I'm talking about right there. Ladies and gentlemen, Motivation Monday, Amir Silly, Talented Harry. This is what I love about this show. Like, it should be like, you be 1 second you dropping professional jewels, and the next minute, so 8 weeks jerking off. I'll just straight, didn't do nothing. So, anyway, thank you to Ray DeJean, super duper promoter and comedian extraordinaire that,
yes.
See what he said. Now, I didn't even talk to him like with a pre-conversation, and he just echoes some of the same stuff, like the word delusional, and like when stuff happened to you, man, you got to take it for what it's worth.
Yeah.
if you don't learn from it and you're in denial and you surround yourself with enablers and stuff like that, like, I thank God. Shout out to Sharonda, right? Perfect example. Me and her having a back and forth today. Funny as shit. So, perfect example is everybody don't think like you. You know what I mean? And that's how progress gets done.
Yeah.
Like, what I'll do is when flyers get made, a lot of times Sharonda's the first person I shoot it to because she's always on it with the promotion. So she's the first person I share it with. And first thing she'll do, she's got OCD, but first thing she'll do is go
Look
through
at
the
all.
shit. And it could be one little thing. It could be everything good. It could be that one little thing. So I go, circle that shit, send it back. And I'm like, okay, that's a little thing. It's not greatly important, but duly noted. I send it to get corrected. When he's done, he'll send a new one. So she hits me and asks politely, like, should I post it or am I waiting for the new one? I said, oh, no. In the meantime, post it. I mean, I get the new one, I'll shoot it to her, but right now, post it, whatever. She's like, all right, I'm just, I'll be on it. I said, yeah, your OCD kicking in. Now, we going back and forth for about fucking hour with this shit, right? Oh, but I said, yeah, but my thing is, when we wait, sometimes we lose out on money.
Momentum.
You never know how much.
Yeah.
What they say, you never miss. What is it? The free throw analogy is like,
yeah, you don't you never you
miss
miss
100% of the
100
ones
of
you
the
don't
shots
take.
you don't take. Yep.
Exactly. So, like that, to me, it's like you never know, because let's say I'm going to start promotion Friday, but for some reason I start on Tuesday. And between Friday and Tuesday, it could be a group of people I know that bought tickets to something else on that day now because they didn't know until Tuesday.
Yeah.
So over the weekend, oh man, we're going to the concert, whatever. So you just never know. You know what I mean? So we
No
going back and
question.
forth on that. But my point is, at the end of the day, I appreciate that dialogue and that conversation instead of just yep. There's no bounce back. There's no critiquing. There's no separate POVs. I need several POVs. You know what I mean? Why do you think you don't everybody that I know, and I hate to say this because as soon as I say it, they're gonna start doing other shit. But when you see people sell their comedy t-shirts, a comedian got a t-shirt, it's usually the same fucking t-shirt all the time. So once you buy it, and then need to buy it again, I bought it. But when you look at it's just comedy, we on fucking probably logo number 20.
Or whatever. No question.
Right? In like 1 year and a half time. So we're like, because these are people that will buy some shit or sit around with me and talk and come up with ideas like I do. They're like, yo, that shit's dope. Imagine if you blah, 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 and put that over there. That's why when you see them, you always see something different. You'll see some shit on the sleeve. Sometimes ain't nothing on the sleeve. Then you see a little thing here. Sometimes in this color, and this no color. And it, like, because everybody has a valid point. And I go, you know what? That's a valid
good
point.
idea.
So let's order some of those for the people who like that.
No question.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Quick birthday shout out to Drusilla. I see you in the building. I'm not sure if it's today or if it was yesterday, Drusilla. Happy birthday. One of our true, faithful people who has been following the team and has been a true supporter, since day one. So big happy birthday. Shout out to you, Drusilla. Hope you had a wonderful birthday and much,
She
many more.
hung out with the Rugers with us.
Blessings. But yeah, to your point, T, that and that's this has been Motivational Monday, guys. I'm looking at the time. I don't want to, we don't want to keep y'all, too much longer, but we want y'all to just, take away again some of the things that we said today. First and foremost, like I said, have that gratitude, pray, whatever it is, start your day, along those lines with Saturday. Again, happy birthday, Drusilla. Do all of those wonderful things. And then next, like Talon said, get that lineup right, y'all. You'd be surprised. Once you kind of get that lineup in order, I'm telling you, some of these things will start falling into place, in ways and in spaces that you wouldn't even believe. And then, last but not least, let's all continue to do what we've been doing, which is supporting one another, which is truly being educated by one another. And most importantly, y'all, again, we appreciate all the love and support from all of the, viewers and all the people who follow us on the various platforms. Big super salute and shout out to my man Talent, who, like I said, is the visionary. He kind of drives this train for us all. But most important is Monday. Let's get it. Let's get that bag. Let's get this week rolling. And, as always, you never know. We might have a pop-up in the middle of the week. Might call a Hail Mary. Anything's possible. But again, you might not see us again until Friday. But anyway, or either way, let's all just continue to do what we've been doing, and that's love on each other, sow into each other, support one another, and most importantly, just be as good as we can to one another. Because like I said, it's nice to be important, but it's much more important to be nice. Take that with you, and we'll all prosper. Love you guys. Everybody have a great evening. We'll see you soon.
Peace.